Farrah Gutman, a Moment Talk of the Table contributor, specializes in Israeli and Middle Eastern cuisine and is a food writer for Israel's daily newspaper, Haaretz. Her work has also appeared in the Washington Post food section, Slate.com, and NPR. In 2004, Farrah cooked for President Obama's Passover Seder at the White House. Please welcome Chef Farrah Gutman as she introduces us to Israeli street food. Farrah?
Thank you. Hi, welcome everyone. Very excited to have you all here as we travel online to Israel's shooks and street foods. I think we're all missing our travel during the summer especially, and I miss my country, Israel, especially, of course. And that's why we chose this subject of Israeli street food. Beyond falafel, for a few reasons, although falafel is actually my favorite food in the world, and that's the food I would choose to take on a desert island. But of course, I demoed it online a few weeks ago in another class, and I think it's time we will learn and expand and try other favorites from the Israeli street food at home. So as always, I think like 80% of my classes, I start with an eggplant. Some of you, if you've already seen my classes, how do you do? I have Gutman here behind the camera. He will tell us. Yes, Shauli?
Hello. It has to be dark as the night and light as a feather.
That's right, my son. So yeah, try to see that the eggplant is relatively light. It will mean, hopefully, that it doesn't have so many seeds. It's younger. It will not be as bitter as some of the eggplants in the United States are. And make sure that the skin is very dark and shiny. We want it to be young eggplant. So I'll start by peeling the eggplant. Oh, the dish we're making is called Sabih. Sabih is breakfast in Arabic. It's basically an Iraqi breakfast in a pita, in the pita bread. And it became a very popular street food in Israel in the last 10 years or so. I'm half Iraqi. And this is what Iraqi Jews, the combination of eggplant, hard-boiled egg, and other ingredients that I'm going to talk about in a second, with tahini and salad, all of those in a pita bread is what Iraqi Jews eat on Shabbat breakfast, for Shabbat breakfast. So eggplant, you may know, you need to put an eggplant in a colander for about half an hour, layer it with kosher salt, let the bitterness come out and some of the liquid come out. Then you wash it, you dry it, and you fry. But the top of the eggplant, you see it's clean from seeds, it's white, so I can just go ahead and fry it. The bottom part usually has more seeds, and I would not try to do it to use it without really leaving it with kosher salt for a while. You see, I don't know if you can see, there are some seeds here. It's a good eggplant. It's not filled with seeds. Nevertheless, I would wait with this one for later. I just wanted to show you how I peel it and cut it. And I'm going to use only the upper part for this demo. So let's go to the pan here. Now, I'm using, I was smart enough to turn the oil on before we started. So this is already bubbling. We're using corn oil for this. You can also use olive oil. But the truth is, I really like the flavor of corn oil with eggplant. For some reason, it works so wonderfully. The eggplant smells best this way. And we're going to fry it. You see that it's a lot of oil, and we're going to the eggplant is going to absorb a lot of it. But we're gonna use paper towels and a plate for that after, and we will try to, to make it absorb most of the oil. Just that you know, my grandmother used to soak the sliced eggplant and to soak it in oil and then fry it in even more oil. So I'm really like doing it very in the most, diet conscious way. There's an option also to do the eggplant, to spray it with a pan and to do it in the oven. I think you have it in your recipes. And I will send that. I roast the eggplants in the oven at 450 or 425 degrees, spray it with just pan. It's much better for most of the dishes. For this one, nicer to fry. Okay, so let's go here and start to work on the salads that we're going to have in this. So the first one, and this goes in almost every street food in Israel, we're going to make tahini dip. Now, for tahini dip, we're using raw tahini. Now this one, it's called Arayes. It's a Palestinian tahini from Nazareth. And it's my favorite tahini. You can get it here online. You can get it in some Israeli or kosher supermarkets. Not yet in Middle Eastern supermarkets. It's really the best one. And just a few weeks ago, they announced of their support of the LGBTQ community. Unfortunately, this made some of the some in the Muslim community to boycott them in Israel. So we really try to support them as much as we can. It's tasty and it's a good one. So I'm gonna use the tahini here. I'm gonna add cold water. And some freshly squeezed lemon juice.
Farrah, can you mention the
Yes.
name of the tahini you used again?
Yes, it's called Arayes. Arayes, A-L, second word, Arz, A-R-Z.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. A little bit of salt. And we're going to, just a second. We're going to mix it. I have here a whisk, but you can also do it with a fork. Now, Shauli, I want you to show this. The magic about tahini is that after you mix it a little bit, it becomes very creamy. So you see right now it's mixed, but it's just very thin. If I'll mix it for a little bit longer, you can start to see that it becomes thicker and very, very creamy. Oh, this one looks beautiful. See? That's what you want to get. It will happen with any type of tahini. Okay. So we want it to be relatively thin in this case because we're drizzling it over the pita bread that we're going to serve. That was the first one. I'm looking at the eggplant. They still steam fine. I'm not going to flip them yet. But you want to make sure to look at it every couple of minutes. It takes altogether about 10 minutes for the eggplant to be ready. So you want to make sure it does not burn on one side. The second is really very common to a lot of the street food in Israel, whether it's kebab or falafel, shawarma, sabich that we're making. is what's called here Israeli salad, what Israeli call Arab salad. And it is an Arabic salad of chopped vegetables. The classic ingredients are always tomatoes. I have beautiful heirloom tomatoes here. I couldn't resist. And the main thing with making Israeli salad is to make sure you chop it, you dice it very small. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. And we're going to use it for this dish and then others as well.
While you're slicing that, someone had a question. Yeah. Someone had a question about the eggplant. Does it have to be salted with kosher salt, or can it be salted with just regular table salt?
So I don't. Table salt, I'm afraid, will will be absorbed too much with inside the eggplant, and will just make it very salty. So I would use. It doesn't need to be kosher salt, but it needs to be coarse salt.
Okay.
Of any kind.
And in terms of the frying of it, instead of corn oil, how do you feel about avocado oil, canola oil, or olive oil at lower temperatures? Someone's concerned if the corn oil is inflammatory.
Canola oil or vegetable oil, no. The taste is just not good. Let's go to the eggplant for a second. I'll continue to answer that. Olive oil, definitely yes. Look, it becomes golden. I want it more brown, but this is a good start. Maybe I'll actually turn it. It's right now, it's on medium heat. I'm gonna do it medium high so we can have it. I mean, it's better to just keep it on medium, but we want to go ahead and actually eat it soon. So I'll leave it like that. Okay, let's go back here. So I think with olive oil, we don't do it, as I said, it's a medium temperature. It doesn't need, it will not burn. It's okay to do it with olive oil. It will be very tasty. But olive oil can be very strong flavored sometimes. So corn oil somehow just works really well with eggplant, in my opinion. But of course, olive oil, I'll never say no to olive oil. It's really good. Okay, so I chopped this huge tomato. I have now the Israeli style or Iranian style, depending on where you're shopping, cucumbers. And again, chopping it very small, just adding to the salad. This salad is something that Israelis are eating at home every day for dinner. So, it's useful not only when you eat, of course, street food, but also just for dinner. It's really nice if you drizzle some of the tahini that we just made. If you drizzle tahini on top, it's really, really good. We eat it at home all the time. Okay, so usually we also add some onion. You can add peppers, red peppers, chili peppers are also fine. Today I'm just gonna add some parsley, Italian parsley that I'm chopping. No need to remove from the stems. We just chop the leaves part with the stems. That's fine. Chop it very fine. We'll add it here. A little bit of lemon juice.
Vered, someone would like to know. Yes. They would like to know if you've ever used the Asian style eggplant instead of the globe ones.
There are so many Asian style eggplants. If you're talking about the long one, those are the Chinese ones. They will not work for this. You have them Thai eggplants and Indian eggplants. They look almost the same, but they're not. I never tried them. Anyway, they're too small. I'm not sure they'll work well with this. And even the Italian eggplants, and sometimes you have the what's called Holland eggplant. They're very similar to the Italian eggplants. For frying, I don't like them so much. If you do them in the oven, that's fine. If you grill them, they're wonderful. But for this one, the regular American eggplant, you know, since you cannot get the real Israeli eggplant, so the regular American eggplant, I think works the best. If you can get Sicilian eggplant, it's the one with like, how do you call it? It's like, I don't know what to call it. It looks like it's made of different things. Then those are amazing for everything. They're sweet, they're just unbelievable. So the salad, the salt, it's actually better to add last minute. I'll just do it now so I don't forget. I'm gonna add just a little bit olive oil because it goes in the pita with so much stuff in it. So there's no need to mix it. It's beautiful because the tomato is just so beautiful. And here we go. That's our salad. Okay, let's go back to the eggplant. Okay, this looks ready. Look at them. It smells really good. It smells kind of sweet. It's brownish on both sides, just like we want it. So, and yes, it's completely absorbed in oil. You know, you don't eat it every day. Okay, let's go back here. Okay, so we're starting to get ready to prepare our pita bread. So we have tahini, Israeli salad, we have the eggplant. Now the other part, an important part of the pita and of the breakfast are those hard-boiled eggs. You can see they're brown. This is already peeled and it's brown. It's brown because I cooked it in water just for the regular 10 minutes. And then I put it in the oven at 200 degrees or 225 for about 3-4 hours. You can do it overnight. Originally, the Iraqi Jews cook it overnight with their Shabbat overnight dish, like the Iraqi chulent, which is called tvit. It's chicken stuffed with rice. You cook it overnight, and you put eggs on top. Many Sephardi cuisines, Iraqis are not Sephardis, but other Sephardi cuisine use the hard-boiled eggs that have been cooked for many hours. They're called chaminados. The yolk becomes, the white becomes brown, the yolk becomes very creamy. It's incredible. So I'm gonna slice it just so it will be easier to put it in the pita bread. And the next ingredient for the pita is this, it's called amba. It's mango preserved, mango pickles that the Iraqis use. Now, this has an interesting story. It's called amba, and in some of the Indian languages is mango, and this is a mango preserve. The Iraqi Jews, like one of the 3 Jewish communities in Iraq, are in India, are the Baghdadi Jews. And they moved to 19th century for economic reasons. And they started later to import this basically mango chutney to Iraq. Much later in the 50s, they brought it with them to Israel, and now you can find amba, this mango preserves, in any falafel and shawarma stand as part of this Israeli mixed bowl cuisine that we have. Okay, we're going to the big part of assembling the pita. Now, the assembly part is really important. the order of things and how you spread everything, and you know, don't just put one thing and top it with another. You want basically in every bite to have some of everything. So you can use hummus if you want, but I'm going to use only the tahini that we made earlier. I'm going to spread it all over like that. Now, you know, actually, let me talk about the pita itself. The pita, as you can see, is very, very thick. It's an Israeli style pita. And in the Washington, D.C. area, you can get those at the Moti's kosher market. It's an Israeli kosher supermarket in Rockville. In New York, you can get it in many of the Israeli hummus places. Wherever you live, you can, you know, Google it, Israeli style pita, or ask your kosher supermarket, or if you have any kosher, any Israeli restaurant in the area, ask them, and they'll point you to the real thing. Okay, so we're gonna add some eggplant in. Top it with every layer that I put it all the way down. Some of the jaminados. We're gonna have some of the amba now. Again, all the way down. Salad. Now, for the next recipe, we're using potato in the tuna sandwich. Baked potato will work really well in this one also. That's it. We have our first pita ready. And Shauli, do you want this one? Yes.
Very
he was waiting. Yeah.
Looked amazing. Yes, the cameraman always gets food.
Yeah.
So we have several questions. People want more information about your eggs.
Yes.
Are they cooked in the shells in the oven? Are they hard boiled? What's the trick for all of that?
Okay. You cook them in the shell as you would hard boiled eggs. You cook them, just a second. Shauli, yes, you can actually eat it. You cook them in the shell. Like you cover them in water, you cook them in the shell for 10 minutes, as you would with any hard-boiled eggs. In the meantime, you turn your oven on to 225 degrees. And now you take the eggs out of the water and you put it in a pot, like in a saucepan. Without liquid, just like that. You put it in the oven for 3 to 4 hours, up to 8, even overnight. And that's it. And they'll be ready.
Great. You're having a little bit. We're having a little bit.
Yeah.
We're having a little bit of trouble with the internet on your end.
They're having a problem with the internet here. I'm sure everyone in the house is not using.
Okay.
Is it still bad?
Now it went back. Now it went back. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody else would like to know if you buy the pickled mango in an Indian store, what's the name of it?
That's a good question. Yes, it's actually very similar to any mango preserve, mango chutney that you have in the Indian store. I buy the amba. It's in the recipes also, but I buy this style. The only difference is that this one is completely smooth. It doesn't have the chunks that usually chutney does, but it's the same thing. It comes from there. The amba is specifically Israeli at this point, under this name and with this texture. So in Israeli supermarket, in some kosher supermarkets, that's where you can get it.
Okay.
And it's an acquired taste, that's one thing. I mean, I see here behind the camera, Shauli devours it, and Natan, my husband too, but At least one of my sons does not like it, and many people don't like it. I love it.
Somebody, just for people who are watching, somebody says that you can buy mango chutney at Trader Joe's.
Oh, okay. Actually, Trader Joe's started selling specifically amba under the name amba. And they have a few things that are clearly Israeli, although they are sold in other places in the Middle East because of their name choice. I know they come from Israel. Their amba is not good, and it's not really amba. It's very thin and it's not tasty. So, you know, it's easier than other options maybe. But if you get a chance to buy this in an Israeli or kosher store, it keeps forever. And it is nice. I mean, you know, if you like it, then you're gonna love it.
And then last question before we move on to the next recipe. The question everybody I know is wondering is, how do you peel the egg? How do you peel the eggs without getting little pieces everywhere?
Oh, this depends on how fresh your egg is. So if the egg is very fresh, it has a lot of liquid in it, and it's really stuck to the shell, and it's gonna, you know, break as you just described when you peel it. So it's not about knowledge, it's about the luck and how old the eggs are. I guess these eggs were old enough that it was very easy to peel them. But also I think in this case, because these were in the oven for a long time, a lot of the liquid evaporated. So they shrunk even more and separated even easier from the shell. My mother used to work for the Israeli, for the Hebrew University at the agriculture faculty, and very specifically in the poultry department. So anything you want to know about chicken and eggs, you come to me. Okay, let's move on to the next recipe. The next recipe is called the Tunisian Sandwich. Shauli was telling me before the class that he thought that it's tuna and Tunisian, because it's also a tuna sandwich and it's a Tunisian sandwich, but no, it's just a Tunisian sandwich. It's very popular in Tunisia. Small sandwiches, usually served in a fried bun, fried roll, that's called fricassee. I know fricassee is the name of other dishes, but in this case, in Tunisia and in Israel now, these small rolls, fried rolls, are called fricassee. We're gonna use just Italian style sub roll. And so the sandwich is made of tuna, canned tuna, and preserved lemon, harissa, potato, egg. It's wonderful. So I'm gonna start by making the homemade harissa. So let's move here, Shauli. For the homemade harissa, what we're using is, what I'm using for this recipe specifically is dried red bell peppers. They're sweet peppers, not spicy ones, and they're chopped. It's impossible, or I at least couldn't get the whole bell peppers dried. So, but I got this from my spice sage, and they're really good. You can find sometimes crushed or chopped dried red bell peppers in other places, but if you do, make sure they don't have a lot of the seeds in them, because most of them do have a lot of the seeds, and then it becomes bitter. This one is clean for most of the seeds, that's why I like it. So what you do is you soak the dried peppers in water for 1 hour, and then you drain it and you squeeze the water out of it, and that's what you get. You get these dehydrated bell peppers. I'm gonna use my fancy schmancy Vitamix to make this. Now, this is so tasty. It's like of course, you can buy harissa, you know, store-bought harissa in many places. Some of them are good, but the truth is, this is so delicious. It's really worth doing it. And by the way, I'm using, this is the traditional recipe of using dried bell peppers, but you can also use fresh roasted bell peppers. Roast it either in the oven on 400 degrees, 450 degrees, or you can grill it. That can also be nice. Peel it and then use it. You will have a much thinner harissa with all the spices that I'm going to use, but it's still going to be delicious. Okay, so we have that. I'm adding garlic cloves, 6 garlic cloves, some lemon juice. You can also use regular vinegar, not wine vinegar, but just the white vinegar. And if you do, then this will stay much longer in the fridge. Like that with the lemon juice, about 1 week, 10 days. Okay, so the spices that I'm adding are coriander seeds, caraway seeds. It's so delicious in it. Not a lot, but just adds cumin seeds and crushed red peppers. These are the spicy ones that you use on pizza. And this is up to you how spicy you want it to be. I prefer it to be a little sour and too spicy. Okay, some salt. And now we're going to crush it and add olive oil. I'm adding the olive oil here. This is actually corn oil, not olive oil. You can, again, use the olive oil. Just a second.
Vered, where did you say you got the dip?
Just a second. Just a second. You can use, I used corn oil in here, again, because I don't want the very strong olive oil taste in here, but you can definitely use olive oil, especially if it's a mild olive oil, or use a combination of both. This is just so beautiful. Look at the color. And really, it's just delicious. Delicious. It works in any sandwich, and it's just wonderful. Okay, the next ingredient in our next sandwich are those preserved lemon. Here is preserved lemon that I made a couple of months ago, and we've been using it all the time. I'm going to show you how to do it again. Preserved lemon, it's another thing that you can buy in the store, in Persian stores, and it's a Moroccan thing, but so any Middle Eastern store usually will have it, because usually they have a combination of from all over the Middle East. But in this case, maybe even more with the harissa, when you make it at home, it's so much better, because when you make it at home, you will be covering it with freshly squeezed lemon juice. And in the stores, they very rarely use that. They use vinegar, and it's just not the same. Like when it's preserved in its own lemon juice, it's just incredible. So you have two ways of doing it. I mean, you start with nice, clean lemons. You can either slice them to just round slices and stack them in the container, or you can do them holes, as I did in the large one, and that's what I'm going to show you because it's much easier to make. So I'm just removing the tip, And I'm gonna slice it. Shirley, maybe show it from close so it will be. I'm sliced it almost all the way down, but not completely. I'm still leaving it intact. So to half and then to quarter. So you see, it's still attached at the bottom. Let's do it again with this one. So 1 and 2. Okay, and now what I have is salt. To the salt, I'm adding a little bit of sugar. We're going to mix it. And I'm going to stuff each of the lemons with some of this mixture. And stuff it in the jar. Again, the second one. And what I'm doing here is like a third of the recipe you have in your packets, just to show you in general. So yeah, I stuffed a little more in the second one. We put it here, and we put at least some of the rest of the mixture in the jar. Now, the next step is actually to let this stand for 3 days. You put it in a cold place, you know, a darkish place in your kitchen, not by the window, but not in the fridge, just on the countertop. You let it stand for 3 days. In those 3 days, the juices from the lemon juice are going to start coming out and fill some of the jar. After 3 days, you squeeze more fresh lemon juice, and you cover the jar all the way to the top. You can cover the last 1/8 of an inch with olive oil, and that's it. Then you need to let it sit for a month. So luckily we have some prepared ones in here that we're going to use today. Where's my fork? Okay, here's, you see 1/4. It's so tender, and we're going to chop it and use it. Okay, another ingredients for this salad are just Kalamata olives that I'm going to chop. Here we go. We have cooked potatoes. Just cook them as you usually would. You don't even need to peel them when the skin is so thin. I find that it adds flavor actually. So just slice it to very thin slices and put some salt on it. What else do we have here? We have hard-boiled eggs that are only half-boiled. So you bring water to boil, you put the eggs in it using a spoon, and you measure exactly 7 minutes. And then you take them out and wash them in cold water. So the yolk is going to be not fully cooked. It's a little more yellow than hard-boiled egg, and it's really tasty this way. We're gonna use some green onion in our sandwich, some cilantro, okay. And the main ingredient is tuna in olive oil or in water. You drain it from all the liquid and you use that. Okay, you can see that some of the ingredients may remind you Niswaz salad, the tuna, the potato, the egg. The French ruled Tunisia, and there is definitely a connection there between those ingredients that we're using and salad Niswaz. Okay, so we have a roll. Again, the original sandwich has this fried roll, which is delicious, but seriously, like, there's a limit to how much we can sin here. So we're going to spread this amazing harissa here. I think I'm going to do it at the top as well. Okay, tuna. Now, tuna and preserved lemon is really a match made in heaven. And even with fresh tuna, if you ever make fresh tuna, dressing, you know, if you crumble some preserved lemon on top, it's really delicious. And by the way, I'm also adding preserved lemon into tuna, like the classic American style tuna salad mayo. I add chopped preserved lemon, and we add, well, the egg is there anyways, and then I spread some harissa at the bottom, and we just eat it like that as a regular tuna salad. It's really delicious. So I'm gonna top the tuna with some of the preserved lemon, egg. Oh, actually, let's do potato. Ooh, the egg. There's no way to eat this one, but it's gonna be delicious. Some olives, green onion, and cilantro for some taste. And here we go. Shall we? Are you going to eat this one? Yeah. Okay, luckily we have more boys in this house. So.
That looks amazing, amazing.
Thank you.
So
Thank
someone would
much.
like to know, where is the best place, did you say, to get the dried peppers?
So these I got at, I'm looking at the bag, my spice Sage. It's an online place. Just a second, Shauli, can you turn this on? It's an online store, a great store for sandwiches, for spices. They have a nice variety of spices from around the world, and they have this one as well. So
okay, great.
Yeah.
Since we're running low on time, why don't we just move on to the next recipe? I'm sorry that if we have some more time for questions at the end, we'll take them.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So we're just a second. Let's get rid of this and give me the next tray, please. We need to just a second. Get ready to the next recipe. Okay. So our next recipe is a Lebanese Palestinian recipe, and I'm sure you all heard about the terrible story in Beirut today. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking what just happened there. Anyway, so what it is you take a pita, you stuff it with a mixture that you usually make kebab of. So it's lamb or beef with spices and nuts, all mixed together. You stuff the pita with the raw mixture. You brush the pita with oil, and then you grill it, usually on a barbecue grill, but we're gonna do it on a skillet, on a skillet in this case. So I'm going to start with lamb. right here. To the lamb, I'm adding grated yellow onion. It's grated, it's not chopped. And I try to squeeze out most of the juices. Okay, now here I have some pine nuts. I'm gonna add the pine nuts. It's always delicious to do to add pine nuts to kebabs. Some cilantro. I'm gonna use about half of it. Now what the onion does is it keeps the meat tender when we cook it, because otherwise, you know, if you make meatballs, you know that you need to add breadcrumbs or onions, or some people add ricotta cheese or something. So in this case, the onion is very helpful. Okay, we're gonna have some salt and mix it. I'm gonna put gloves, which is something I don't usually do, but I wanna keep on cooking during the class without washing my hands. So here we go. I'm gonna mix the kebab mixture. Now, so this mixture is how you would make kebab in general. So you can stuff the pita and follow the recipe I'm about to do, but you can also make small kebabs from it and just grill them like that and serve with the same tahini we were talking about earlier. We're gonna use it again, this one. Okay, beautiful, it smells so good. This is our meat. Okay, and now we're going to take another pita bread, cut it in half, like that, and we're going to stuff like a nice amount of this mixture inside, and try to press it to all the sides of the pita. So, you know, so when you eat, you have that flavor. No, I'm gonna press the pita down. This is about what we're looking for. It's not too much, but it's filled completely. Let's do the next one. Now, it's really nice also to do a vegetarian one. I made it before with spinach. You can use the Swiss chard. Just saute it with some garlic and olive oil, stuff the pita, add some feta cheese, and follow the recipes I'm going to do now. Just grill it with the same, you know, brush it with olive oil, grill it until it's ready. Here's the second one. Now, the important part of this recipe is the pita itself from all sides with olive oil. This and the top. Again, back and front, and also the top. Okay, we can get rid of this, and let's move, let's move to our skillet. We're going to put the pita on top. Look at this. We need to give it a couple of minutes on each side, and then also on the third side, which is the side of the opening, because that will help the meat cook a little more. With this, in this case, even more than the other recipes, it's really nice to do it on an actual charcoal pan grill, but you know, I was afraid it's going to storm, and I was afraid to do it, to plan on going outside and doing it there. But, you know, maybe next time. This is fine with the cast iron pan. It works really well. So what we have to do is give it a few minutes on each side, and the last step would be to put it this way. But for now, let's leave it here and let it cook as we continue, I guess, to the next recipe.
Very
okay.
Yes. Real quickly,
yes.
does that go in the oven afterwards, or you just cook it on the stove?
No, we just cook it like that. It's like, you can almost see it as a grilled cheese pita. We just grill it until the beef will not be fully, it will be like eating a, you know, medium burger, right? So it will be cooked, but not completely, which is okay with beef, especially, I mean, you have to make sure you buy it from a place that you know and trust. But the same way you eat medium or medium rare burger, it's the same in here. It's not going to be fully cooked inside, but it's going to be somewhat cooked. We're going to wait. We're going to start doing the next recipe, but we're going to wait with this one. And I'm still going to show you how to assemble it at the end. But now we're moving to the dessert already. And our dessert is called Malabi. It's like a Middle Eastern Arabic panna cotta. It's made with milk instead of cream, so it's lighter than the traditional Italian panna cotta. You can see it in many Arab restaurants in Israel, and even like in street food places. They may sell only Malabi as dessert. There's at least one place in Jaffa on Jerusalem Boulevard that they sell only that, and it's considered to be the best one. And their secret, turns out, is actually that they're using ground rice instead of corn flour that cornstarch, excuse me. In Hebrew, we say corn flour. Cornstarch that we use here, it does add some extra depth of flavor. Shauli, I think, can you, yeah, turn them around, flip the pita. Our Arayes is starting to smoke. Okay, yeah. Sorry about that. Here I am. The heat was too high. So I'm using cornstarch today, but if you can get rice flour, try to use it for this recipe. It's really nice. Another thing, someone asked me before the class about making Malabi vegan, especially if you eat the Arayes before and you keep kosher. You can definitely use, you know, almond milk or any favorite milk. It will work just as well. Okay, so let's move here, Shauli, again. And we can take care of the Malabi and the Arayes at the same time. So as you can see, our Arayes, the pita, is already crispy on one side, actually on the other side too. So I'm already going to put it on the side like that, on its top, so the meat can sear on that side as well. In the meantime, I'm starting to boil 2 cups of milk here. I'm doing half the recipe that we were talking about, so okay, let's leave that. We will leave that in here for a second. In the meantime, what I want to do here is to make the syrup, the sweet syrup, to put on the Malabi. It usually goes with just a very simple raspberry syrup, like the one you buy in the supermarket and make sweet drinks for the kids. You can do that. That will be a classic option. But what I'm doing here is I'm using half a cup of pomegranate juice and half a cup sugar. We're going to bring it to boil and just let it cook for 5 minutes to get thicker, and that's it. We'll have the syrup. You're gonna need to let it cool down before you use it. The same also with the Malabi itself. After we make it, we're gonna have to put it in the fridge. Luckily, I have some ready. So look at this for a second, Shirley. We're gonna do, where is the plate that I had here? Just a second. Okay, I think this may be ready. Okay, let's take it. Oopsie. Let's take it here. We have the real thing, falafel holder. It's actually a taco holder, but we're gonna use that. So now for each of the pita, half pitas, you can use the same toppings that we used for the other sandwiches. We can use tahini, of course, and some of the Israeli salad. And you know, you can add the amba, you can add harissa. It's just delicious. But you have to have the tahini and the salad. Those are the main ingredients. And as long as you have those, that's fine. Also, you will probably need to do it for a longer time than what I just did. You know, this is a cooking class and I want to show you the finished ingredient, but it usually takes a little longer for the pita to be completely ready. Although this is fine, it depends on how you like the meat. So we have that, and oopsie, we're gonna go back to the oven, Jolie, to do the so, okay, you're cooking here, and I have milk that I'm bringing to boil in this one. Now, I leave some of the milk in another container, and to that I add my cornstarch. Oopsie, okay, and mix it really well until the cornstarch is completely melting into the milk. I'll add sugar to the milk that we're boiling here, like that. And when the milk is boiling just like that, just as it is right now, you see the little bubbles on the sides, because you don't want it to boil too strongly, too abruptly. I'm pouring the cornstarch mixed with milk inside. And now I need to be careful and to just cook it and mix it very frequently so that the Malabi does not burn at the bottom. It happens very quickly when it does, so you really want to be careful. And we basically want to cook it until it covers a wooden spoon with a thick coat. So just a second, Matoki, can we have a wooden spoon? Okay, thank you. So wooden spoon, you see right now, if I'll dip it inside, it's gonna be, you know, there's not the thin layer right now. In a few minutes, when it becomes more ready, it will cover the spoon. And that's when we know that it's ready. It takes about 3-5 minutes, sometimes a little more, to do that. So any questions in the meantime about any of the?
Yeah. What the next thing you're about to put in is the orange blossom water, and someone wanted to know if there was a substitute for that. Where do you get it?
So I get it either at a kosher store or look. By the way, it's already much thicker. I get it either at a kosher store or in any Middle Eastern store will have it. You can add any flavoring that you like to this. So traditionally, rose water is actually used. Rose water, again, you can get in, using the same, you buy in the same places, Middle Eastern stores or Israeli store, kosher stores. You can use just vanilla extract. You can use any extract that you like. You can use orange extract, so it doesn't need to be the orange water, but then use just a little bit, just a couple of drops, because the orange water is not very thick. It's not very strong flavor. Shauli, can we go back here because it's actually almost ready? It becomes very thick now if you look at the spoon. When I dip it in, the spoon really stays white because it's so much thicker. So now we're gonna wait for like 1 more minute maybe. The only thing to really make sure is that you see how it bubbles on the side. You don't want it to bubble too crazily. And you need to be careful that the bottom does not burn. Okay, I think it's actually ready. The drops are very thick. The spoon is nicely coated. Okay, maybe 30 more seconds. Any more questions? No questions.
Sorry. No, I had trouble with the mute.
Oh, okay.
Somebody, if we can go back for 1 second to the sandwich you prepared beforehand. Someone would like to know if it can be mostly prepared ahead of time and then frozen and then cooked afterwards.
Which of the sandwiches?
The
answer is no, but
the last one you just did.
Yeah. So actually, I mean, you can make the. Okay, this is ready. I'm sorry, I just have to show you. I just turned it off. If you want, you can make the mixture before, like the mixture of the lamb. You can make the mixture whenever you want to, and maybe even divide it to. Let's say you're using 4 pita bread, so you divide it to 8 for the 8 halves, and freeze it like that. Then defrost it, but most of the job you're gonna have to do last minute. I mean, you cannot freeze the pita, the stuffed pita. I mean, maybe you can, but it's not gonna be as tasty as making it fresh. You know, like I guess buying the sandwiches frozen and then you do it in the, you can do it, and if you have leftovers you can do it, but it's better to really do it last minute. So I'm using a pitcher like that. It's easier to then pour the really boiling Malabi into prepared cups that I have here. Shauli, do you want to show it from first? So these are some Moroccan glasses that I have. It's so beautiful.
It's very beautiful in those glasses.
Thank you.
Can you say again, if somebody wants to make this non-dairy, is there a particular type of milk or?
I think the best one is almond milk because I think it tastes the best out of the vegan ones. But you know, you have so many types of. So any of those vegan milks will work just fine.
Great.
So it may take a little longer or less long to make, to get it thicker, because it's not exactly the same milk. it's still gonna work and it's still gonna be beautiful. So now, after you pour it into the glasses, what you need to do is to take a saran wrap, a plastic wrap, and attach it. Actually, can you get me the saran wrap? I'll show you. Thank you. You need to put it directly on the liquid in each cup, because otherwise it develops this skin. It's kind of disgusting. So you do that, and you put it in the fridge for a few hours before you can serve it. Fortunately, I have a few ready in advance here. Yeah, that's it. And now to our toppings. So again, I have some of the syrup that we just cooked over there. This one I made yesterday, so at this point it's cold and it's ready to serve, and it's beautiful. So, you put like a nice 2 tablespoons on top. Because remember that the Malabi itself is not very sweet, so it's okay that the syrup itself is very sweet. Yeah. On top of that, we're going to put some, this is really the classic thing that you get in Israel and all over the Middle East. Shredded coconut. And some chopped pistachios. Shauli, can you show this from close? Because it's just so beautiful. And that's it, and it's ready. You serve it immediately then. That's it.
It's amazing. It looks so delicious. I'm ready to come over to eat.
Please, come over. You're very close, no?
Yes. So we're going to wrap up in a minute, but there's a few questions that I still would like to get to very quickly. Well, one, somebody would like to know if your catering company is still up and running right now.
So first, this is not the best time for catering companies. I've been working in the last few years only at Sinai, and I'm doing, so the catering that I do is only there, Sinai, the historic synagogue in DC. Unfortunately, like many other synagogues and other places, they're closed right now. They operate online, just like Moment Magazine and many other institutes. So I've been doing cooking classes there as well, but no catering at this point.
But you have a website, right? You have a website?
I have a new website that's called Gutman. You can also go to Arayes, where most of my recipes are. Or just Google my name and recipes, and you'll find many. Also follow me on Instagram. Yeah, at Gutman.
Someone would like to know if you know in Israel, has COVID affected the world of street eating in Israel?
Not only street eating, but also restaurants in general, much like it is in here. But restaurateurs really complain about the orders from the government that change from one moment to the other. They don't all make sense. The restaurant world is it's a hard world to survive in anyways. And in this situation, it's impossible. It's basically what's happening here. You see more and more restaurants, wonderful institutions that are closing one after the other for good. And it's just heartbreaking.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's horrible all over.
Yeah. Yeah.
So somebody would like to know, at the beginning you use that blue cutting board. They would like to know if there's anything behind that. They really like.
Nice. I know. I love this company. It's called Hey. HAY. It's a Danish design company. I have a few of their things. I'm so glad you asked about it. So yeah, it's so nice to chop on it, but the things are really cool in general. You can find it online in a few places.
What is your favorite thing to make from Israel?
Oh, well, first, I think everything I make is from Israel, even if it's not directly from Israel. Israelis are cooking it, and that's where I usually learned it. What do I love to make the most? Like to eat or to make?
Could be one of each.
Okay, falafel. One of my favorite things is, really homemade falafel is amazing. And all these dishes are some of my favorite dishes. It's funny because the dishes I love to make and the dishes that I love to eat the most are actually the most traditional dishes. It always goes back there, like kibbeh soup with beet sauce or soup from the Iraqi cuisine, very similar to what my grandmother used to make, or okra cooked in tomatoes. That it's a very Arabic Levantine recipe that my Iraqi grandmother used to make, but the Palestinians are making it. People make it all over the Middle East. I love some of the Tunisian, Algerian, Moroccan dishes of couscous, of this dish called mafroum, which is like a sandwich of potatoes with beef inside, and then you fry it, and then you cook it in tomato sauce, and you serve it on couscous. It's unbelievable. So all the shakshuka, like all the classics, all the traditional dishes.
Great. Well, maybe you'll come back again and show us some more.
Yeah.
So that's all the time we have right now. Thank you so much. Thank you to Shuli for doing the wonderful camera work. Thank you everybody for joining us today. We will send you a link to the recording as well as the recipes, especially for those who did not receive them ahead of time. And I do think a lot of the questions that we weren't able to get to will be answered more specifically in the recipes. So again, thank you. Please visit our website, momentmag.com, and you can find more recipes and articles by Vered. Go to Pinterest and start following us there. And if you enjoyed today's session, please consider making a donation to Moment so that we can continue this great programming. Thank you, everybody, and have a great night.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Vered.
much.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, Vered.